Hi, Harlan, and I want to talk to you today about yoga, your butt, and your body. Now, I'm a huge fan of fitness in all its forms, and I even like yoga. I like yoga a lot, actually. And I think yoga is good for most people. In fact, if you could just take one thing from yoga, the breathing aspect of it, and carry it into the rest of your life, it would change your life and it would change your health for the better. But lately, I've seen a lot of students who love yoga and are sort of yoga addicts present with a lot of back pain or knee pain or hip pain. And yoga, in and of itself, as an activity, has some trends that, or has some patterns that are used quite a bit in yoga. And some of the things that I've seen, I've got a very advanced pelvic diagram right here, this triangle representing the pelvis, this being the front, this being the back. Think of your quads in this area, abs here, glutes, and hamstrings. A lot of times, yoga has you forward flexing a lot or stretching the posterior chain quite often. And when you do that, hamstrings get lengthened, so do glutes, so does the whole backside of your body. And when you stretch something, you temporarily turn off that muscle. And when you stretch something like the hamstrings and the glutes, the quads, the antagonists to those muscle groups, the quads are already pretty strong and pretty tight for most people. And that pulls the pelvis forward and lengthening the hamstrings even more. And when you feel that tension in your hamstrings, that tightness, is very tempting to get a palliative effect or a sense of temporary relief from stretching your hamstrings. And so a lot of people who have already tight hamstrings that are tight and weak, they keep stretching them to try and get that feeling of tension to go away. But what happens is those muscle fibers, those little sarcomeres, they're already stretched, and then you stretch them even tighter. And then the muscle relaxes and produces less tension, and it can't contract and actually recover. Those sarcomeres don't get to recover. And if they're not able to regenerate their energy, they end up dying and fading away. And as you lose sarcomeres in that lengthened hamstring, for instance, as you lose sarcomeres, that means that the pelvis is pulled forward more, the posterior aspect of the pelvis pulled higher, and sure enough, tighter hamstrings. Now you got to stretch again, right? And the intervention that you can use to end this cycle of destruction of your butt and hamstrings is to just loosen up the quads a little bit through soft tissue work, maybe even some static stretching. If you're not doing a lot of stretching on the quads, a little can go a long way. My point is, if your back hurts and if your butt hurts, or you've got hip issues or knee issues, and you're a yoga addict, you might want to take some time and do some weightlifting or do some strength training to really pump some life back into those glutes, into those hamstrings, and really oppose the force of your anterior chain. When you do that, it'll feel probably pretty difficult at first if you've been ignoring strength training for a long time. But what you'll find is your butt's sore in a good way, your hamstrings are sore in a good way, you feel less pain, you feel less irritation, and your body just feels better and in more balance in general. So that's something I've observed to be helpful for friends and students in the past, or actually pretty recently. And if you're having any of that pain, I suggest you try a few new things. I want everybody to have a healthy butt, healthy back, and a healthy life. So this is Coach Josh, not bashing yoga in any direct way, but trying to help you bring out the warrior within.